Hello everyone, my name is RagingRaptor and I welcome you to a new World of Tanks preview video, and today we are going to have a look at quite a lot of changes. We are going to have a look at 4 different versions of Empire's Border and a new version of Minsk. And as you probably see, I may sound a little bit different and I may not look like anything. That's because I am in Germany at a friend's place, and this is why we are going to improvise a little bit. Now, let's start with Minsk, and you probably already know what Wargaming wants to do with Minsk, and they did do a next iteration, and as you can see, this is now how it looks in the new minimap. Most importantly is, well, it is climate change, you know. This is why we are not having any river anymore, all the water is gone. They also opened up number 1 and they did change number 4 and number 3. In general, the map got slightly bigger, so let's have a look at number 1 and see what happened right here. The biggest changes, you will see that the red line right here is going to move backwards, and this opened up right here. Well, it's only this little spot right here. Now it allows you to go in here and cross a little bit more safer to not get shot at from down below, because most of the time people are just going in like this and they're trying to drive over here. You can see they also revamped this part over here a little bit, and they usually just get killed rather quickly. And now with the things getting opened up, most likely there will be new ways of fighting over here. You can see that we have some things over here and some things over here, even though the road is up here. And it will also allow you to be a little bit easier on going into the enemies. And again, trying to do this flanking maneuver and go in like this or go in like this. As you can see, those are in line with each other. When we also look at the minimap right here, they're almost in line, meaning that you will actually be able to sometimes shoot at people which are standing in here and here when you're here or here. Number 2 is again the climate changed, well, riverbed, and you can see it got really made, or it actually gives us a lot more ways to cross. For example, we can go down up here or down here. We can also go up here or up here. We can also go up here. And there are apparently also some spaces, and it basically makes this whole river playable, meaning you will be quicker on each other side, and it just feels a lot more convenient to use. Also, another thing you might see is that look at those trees. Those trees really got made smaller, and this is obviously a big buff for light tanks in general, when you want to spot people which are, for example, camping here or camping here, which was usually a pretty big deal. I think the best thing is to just watch some replays from Skillful LTU on Minsk with the links where he was standing up here in somewhere in the bushes around here, and he got like 5k spot damage on Minsk because the people couldn't spot him while he was standing here, and the TDs were back here and they were driving in like this and like this. And it's a very strong position. Next up, we have number 3, and number 3 is also very interesting. As you can see, this is how it used to look, and Wargaming decided to make it quite a little bit differently. Again, most importantly is that the trees are no more, or they are very small now, and there are added cover like this part right here. Then we have this cover right here. You can even see right down here that there are walls, and as far as I know from my personal experience, those walls will not be penetratable, or they will not be destructible, so you can stay behind them and be as safe as possible. You also have this spot right here, meaning you could shoot down here in some angle like this, and you have this one right here, and you can do vice versa, the same thing. And obviously up here we have a little bit of a trench with a little what's it called, with a little bridge. There we go. Now this is how it really looks like. You can see there is a lot of stuff being removed, and you can see that actually, well, this thing right here is not really finished yet. It really looks like that Wargaming decided to make a pre-version of Minsk, as the walls are not finished yet, and that's a pretty decent thing in my personal opinion. You can also see that over there we did got a little bit of an position as well, which is kind of nice, and that's very good. So let's try and conclude Minsk, and I have to say it looks much more interesting than it is what it is right now. I play Minsk but it's not my favorite. It's really not my favorite. Right now, with the new changes again, that we have less trees over here, meaning it's much easier to spot campers, it's a lot cooler. You now have the riverbed as an additional attacking and fighting spot, which is also very cool. And there are a lot more spots to try and cross. Again, you don't have to, for example, go like this or go like this. You can just go like this or even go like this, which is a very, 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 very cool thing and something I'm really looking forward to. Also, there's a spot back here. It's very cool, I think. I'm asking myself, what is Wargaming going to do back here? Because you can see that there were used to be 2 corridors and now there's just 1. And even back here, it looks a little bit like something is missing. So we really do have only 1 or 2 corridors anymore. Maybe it is also just a minimap, which is a little bit wonky because it's still super test state. But now with Minsk out of the way, let's move on to another problem child, and that is Empire's Border. Here you can see how it usually looks. Now, let's have a look at 3 different versions Wargaming wants to test. And basically, most important, you will also all see it on the maps when we are comparing them to. Every single map we are having right here, well, this change down here, it stays as is. This is what they want to do. They want to make this a much more open down here. But now is the question, how open should the upper part be? And this will be very interesting to see, in my personal opinion, how Wargaming, or what Wargaming is going to decide. Let's just say version 2 is the most open one, version 3 is like semi-open, and version 4 is basically how it used to be with a little bit of changes here and there. Now let's focus on the lower part where you can see how it used to look and how everything else is looking. And again, here I don't really want to wait that much longer because you can see between the 3 different versions which Wargaming wants to change, nothing really changes. The same goes for this triangle position up here. You can see this is how it used to be. I already discussed it in another video. And now you just have this little T section, which makes it probably a little bit easier for the people to fight in. And only version 4 has raised walls. For some reason, I personally do not know. The same goes for the lower part. Again, here you can see this is the biggest change, and every version has this. And I have to say, it's still a little bit risky because of how open it is for artillery, and this was the main feature or main issue why the first version didn't went through, and they did say it was too big. And now you can see version 3 and version 4, nothing changes. The only real minor thing changes is it gets slightly bit higher behind there in version 4. Now we come to the interesting part. Now we go where the 3 versions really change. This is how it used to look. And now let's have a look at version 2. You can see much more open. Version 3, even more open, but I do like the added benefit that it goes a little bit down. Like we have a little ravine actually, or a little ditch in here. You have this as cover, you have this position right here. It looks fairly interesting in my opinion. You can see it. We have hold downs in theory over here. You can go down here. And the same thing goes for back here. We even got a TD position right there and right there. And version 4 is, again, like version or the current version, just slightly made bigger, which is okay. Now, how does it look from a different angle? Again, this is the big overview, and now let's look at this. This is how it really looks like in version 2. You can see we have still the shape of a hill right here. You have to drive up here, you have this part, and it looks fairly interesting to fight in here. And this is the biggest change in my, it is the biggest change basically there. They flattened it down, they made those ditches right here, you can fight here, you can fight here. And it looks fairly interesting. Again, maybe a little bit too open, and this is the last section. Here you can see this part up here was made a little bit bigger, and this one right here was opened up as well. So that is totally fine, totally okay. It's hard to judge really which version looks the best, and I think, I don't know, Wargaming will most likely just decide for one. And I have to say either version 3 or version 2, but I think version 3 has, in my opinion, a slight edge over the other version. Version 4 is just like the old times, and it's very, very, corridor, and that's not really that cool. Now, again, from another angle, now from the right-hand side, you can see this is how it used to look, and You can see in version 2 you have to drive up, while meanwhile in version 3 it is much more flatter and you have to use the different parts of the terrain as your cover. So maybe version 2 is a little bit better, but it's hard to judge. And again, version 4 is basically how it used to be, except for this part in the middle being also opened up. Now the TD hill down here was changed a little bit, or excuse me, this is the TD hill, this is the basic part we had already, and you can see it again, all 3 versions, it just flattened out. That's why I'm just skipping over it. This one right here, very interesting, the current version versus the second version. The third also, second and third being fairly equal, except for the house moving a little bit right here. And version 4 being back to the roots. Again, version 4 is the least changed version. And this goes the same thing for over here, where we have all 3 versions, all 3 new versions having the same change right here. You can see it gets opened up. And that's about it. The DD hill right here also got changed. You can see this is all exact the same thing for all 3 other versions. That's why I'm skipping through them basically. And the middle section, well, also same deal. You can see nothing changes except for a little bit of the shadows right here. So yeah, this is everything we already had. But now this upper position on this look, you can once again see how big this changed. This you can still see we have the hill. And now this is the much flatter position, and you have this big thing right here, which is giving you a lot of cover from here, which I actually very much like. Here, not so much. You have a lot of open space. So I think this one right here may or may not be the best version, because for the people fighting here, they have the most cover from up here, and for the people camping, they can get cross shots like this and right this, and that's a very decent thing in my opinion. Again, this is the oldest version with only this, or the newest, close to old version, with this just getting changed a little bit. So in conclusion, again, version 2, version 3, version 4 versus the old version right here. You can see that really the only thing which changed is this part down here a little bit, and obviously the main part down here. And this main part down here is for all maps the same. I personally have to say my personal favorite is version 3 right here. And this is just due to the fact because this little Chinese temple or Chinese castle really does give you a decent chunk of cover against oncoming shells from the middle when this position is won. So you can still fight around here without getting influenced too much from there. And this is, in my opinion, rather cool-ish. I also do like this one right here because you still have to drive up, but there is a lot less you can do. And that's fairly nice in my opinion. However, again, let me know in the comment section below what you think about all those different versions and if you enjoy them or which one you enjoy the most. I am trying to do an iCard up here so you can make a little voting, and it might also be interesting for the community manager which is watching this video, which he is going to do. And yeah, and without further ado, as we are in the end of the video, if you enjoyed it and you're new to the channel and want to stay up to date with everything World of Tanks related, don't forget to subscribe. Again, today I'm not having a feedback session or feedback part of the video. You can still write your feedback, but again, don't forget, this is a temporary setup. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. My name is RagingRaptor. Have a great day, have a great time. Good luck in ranked, and as always, thanks for watching.